Wow, 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 wow. How good is this? So in this video, I'm going to give you 7 steps or tips, if you will, that you can follow to become a master woodland photographer. So it is morning, and what a morning it is. Finally, we are getting some fog this autumn here in Denmark. And I've come out to a forest at a place called KASE Slotsruin, so KASE Castle Ruin. It's not really a castle, it's more like a tiny fortress. But nevertheless, there are some really beautiful forests out here with oaks and beeches and all sorts of other stuff. Big old trees. And right now the autumn colors are just popping everywhere. And as I said, I have fog. So it is just, but it is actually not the big trees here that are my main concern this morning. I am taking a lot of photos on the way in because I just can't help myself. But there are somewhere that I want to go, which I've been looking forward to, well, since I discovered it half a year ago. So on a scale from 1 to infinity, how absolutely amazing is this place? So the first tip for woodland photography, successful woodland photography, is to use some kind of long-ish focal length. Anything from 24 to 200 usually works within that range, but I am usually between 35mm and 105mm. So a 24 to 105mm lens works really well. And the reason for that is that you want to zoom into the forest, just as I'm doing right here. I have been shooting at various different focal lengths, but I do think that my most zoomed in version here at about 90mm is the one that works the best for me for this composition. It also works a bit more zoomed out, but I really like this perspective compression of the forest. So you really see the fog in the background separating all the different absolutely stunning trees that goes throughout the scene. So the next tip is, of course, to have something interesting to photograph in the woods. Woods have a tendency to be very, very chaotic. So it is about finding that one either special tree or the special shapes that really stands out and looks interesting. One of the reasons why I came to this specific forest is exactly because, well, it looks like a forest straight out of a fairy tale. Maybe a little bit of a creepy fairy tale, a little bit of horror or something like that. But nevertheless, these trees just looks absolutely fantastic. As you can see here, how they are just like really, really gnarly. And usually it's oak trees. So there's an oak tree right here. But many of the other trees here are beech trees. And specifically, these beech trees, they really invoke my imagination. And combined with the atmosphere, it's just like absolutely fantastic. So look for interesting trees, look for interesting shapes, something a little bit out of the ordinary. And actually I have to correct myself, it doesn't have to be something specifically out of the ordinary. It can also be something very ordinary if you want to show or document your normal countryside. I really enjoy photographing in normal beach forests here in Denmark, because that is also how I document the Danish forests. I thoroughly enjoy that kind of photography too, but it has nothing to do with so much my imagination. It has more to do with just documenting this is Denmark. So, and speaking of pattern, the third tip is to use the patterns to your advantage to lead the eye through the photo. Now, a very good pattern is either repeating trees, repeating rhythm of trees, so they are like separated with the same amount of space between them. You can also use leading lines. I'm using the forest trail right here in front of me. So using the trail down here that leads you up into these trees here and then into the background. And it looks super, super awesome. So use the trees, the shapes of the trees, the depth, the lines to your advantage, so you can create some photos that are pleasing to look at. So the next tip is to exclude the sky. As you can see behind me here, there is quite a lot of sky in between all the leaves here. However, if I do like this, well, you can still see a little bit of sky up here, but if I do like this here, it really looks as if I am inside a really closed forest. And it closes down the forest and gives a completely other sense that you are cut off from the world around you when you can't see the sky. And that is also what I'm doing here. You can see I'm generally, you can see here the composition right here. So I am shooting into the forest and I try to exclude the sky from up here. So we really only see this part here, and that really gives that sense of isolation within the forest. So more fog just rolled in, and it is just, I can't have it in me. This is just the perfect conditions for this place, like the perfect. I was so much in doubt yesterday if I should go here or go to some other place, and probably other places are also really good, but this here is just everything that I would have wanted to get out of this specific location. And especially the fog does the difference, and that is the next tip. Like, use fog. Woodland and fog just are almost inseparable. If you want really great woodland photography, you need to use fog. Thick fog. You can always dehaze it a little bit. The more, the merrier. And yeah, what can I say? Fog helps separate, obviously, in the depth. So all the trees, when you look through them, it cleans up the photo so it's not as chaotic, and it just creates the most absolutely fantastic atmosphere. And that is what it's all about, that atmosphere. At least for me, that is what's so important. I don't mind, like, having sunbeams coming down through the canopy is cool, I think. I like it, but they also kind of become a little bit chaotic. I really enjoy when it's only fog and thick fog through a semi-dense forest with some really characteristic trees and shapes, just like this one. So sometimes you just know when you are making portfolio images, and this morning is just one of them. It is just like, I really couldn't have wished for better conditions than this. Even though it's a little bit dark, a little bit ominous, a little bit like, ooh, creepy, these might be photos that I want to hang on my wall. So it's so good, so good. So I'm really just standing on this trail here. I've been walking back and forward, and I think I maybe until now only covered like 50 meters. But yeah, I just keep walking back and forward. The fog gets a little bit denser and then it goes out again and so forth. Just like trying to find different compositions along this trail here. And it really is just like, I already have like 5 photos that I'm really happy about. So yeah, I can't really ask more this morning, but I think the fog is actually supposed to linger for the next couple of hours. So I just have so much time to go around and just have fun with it. And yeah. So the next tip is to be very aware of your compositions. You might think that you have the right composition, but try to move just a few inches or half a meter or an entire meter right or left or back and forward when you think you have found your composition after you've taken the shot, because just the smallest amounts of changes can completely change your composition, and what you think would work when you're in the field might actually not be that great of an idea when you come back home in front of the computer screen. So I will just show you here on this how much it makes sense. So right now I'm just moving half a meter, and now you can actually see more of the trail coming out. However, there are less separation between some of the trees. So it is always about trying to find when your composition is the most optimal. So make sure to move a little bit back and forward, left or right, when you have found your composition, just to be sure. So just while I remember it, it's a little bit more than a year since I released my first ebook, Landscape Composition. And it's a little bit more than half a year since I released the follow-up. And I just want to say a huge thank you to all of you who have got either one of them or both of them. It really means a lot to me that you enjoy them and you learn from them and you get them, because it really is what makes my life and job possible. It is to sell my products. I don't have any sponsorships, so I'm 100% dependent on selling the products I make. So thank you so much, all of you, for it. If you haven't got your copy yet, there are links down in the description, and they are all about composition in landscape photography. So there's a lot to learn there, and it is one of those themes, subjects that a lot of photographers struggle with. So be sure to check them out, and again, thank you so much, everybody. So the sun is coming up and it is just so beautiful right now. Even though I may prefer the little bit more darker shots without sunbeams, if any sunbeams come, I of course going to shoot them, because it's still a beautiful phenomenon. But it can be, to my taste, maybe a little bit too dramatic. I'm not entirely sure. It all depends on the final photo and how it stands out. But the sun is coming up now, and the fog is still here, so it does look absolutely spectacular. So my last tip is to use the light. Shoot towards the light source, not necessarily the sun. It can be an opening in the forest, and then use the foreground trees and their shapes to stand out so they are silhouetted against this brighter background. This is a fantastic tip to really show some mysteriousness in the forest still. So yeah, use the light, make the trees, the trunks, all the different branches stand out against this bright background. It looks fantastic. This place here is just, it just keeps on giving. I don't know what to say. Like it's just absolutely gorgeous, absolutely fantastic. I'm so happy I found this place. I'm so happy I found it, and yeah, well, that's another tip. It is just absolutely essential that you go and explore whatever it is you're trying to find. Like, if I want to find some amazing forests, then I have to go explore in forests. It is just this little part of the forest which really stands out. And imagine just a small forest. If you just have like one place which stands out and become a portfolio image, and you don't go explore it, then you won't find it. So yeah, go and explore. Wow. This is so good. So right now I'm really just using these interesting trunks here, and use the trail as a leading line into the forest. I have the fog separating in the depth of the photo. It's just so good. So as I mentioned, if you want to learn about composition landscape photography, be sure to get my 2 ebooks. If you're in doubt, be sure to check out the light versions first. And of course, if you want to learn how I edit my photos, be sure to enroll in my Photoshop for Landscape Photographers course. There are links to everything down in the description, including a coupon code for the Photoshop course. If you want to see more of my videos, be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that bell for notifications. If you like this video, I would highly appreciate a like and a comment.